What are you doing?
Huh? Nothing, Miss Nosy.
George isn't coming if that's what you want.
I don't know what you mean.
George has disappeared somewhere. You're wasting your time.
Huh? Where?
Turn yourself in to the police. That's right. Go down to the station and turn yourself in. And tell them everything you did.
15 years ago, a freight train left Tokyo on time, but it made an emergency stop and arrived at its destination 30 minutes late. It left with 32 boxcars, but when it arrived, there were only 31.
Excuse me? I'm looking for number 3511 West. Can you help me out?
I don't know. It depends which year they put up the building. This place had a land readjustment about 4 years back.
I see.
Maybe I can help you. What kind of business brings you out here, my friend? You looking for money? A bill collector or something?
No, more like a private investigator.
Oh, people hunter, huh?
Yeah, the whole family skipped out of here one night. No notice at all. Rumor has it that the father was a truck driver or something. Yeah, maybe he lost his job.
It could have been the mother's fault, too. She was a piece of work.
I gotta say, though, the uncle wasn't such a bad sort. He came by a few months later and gave us a gift. A box of cakes, remember that?
Oh, that's right.
I came all the way to this town, but the one I want to see isn't here.
The freight car that was here and then was gone. Sorry, it sounds like the kind of weird thing you'd read in a novel.
Except the facts of this particular story are not fiction. There's a rumor about this freight car that's been floating around for years. Nobody's willing to confirm this on the record, but it may in fact have been carrying a fortune in gold or platinum bars.
Well, I suppose that puts a whole new spin on the subject. You'll pardon the expression, but you've got yourself a 24-carat mystery.
Even more mysterious, that same year and month, a certain public figure died, a person with whom I think you were familiar.
Oh?
Yes, Taizo Okawa. He was the central figure of a serious bribery case at the time the freight car disappeared. His untimely death happened to occur just as he was about to be indicted by a grand jury. His death was a serious setback to the investigation, but it wasn't a fatal blow. Eventually, his estate was determined to be worth about $1 million. He served as prime minister for 6 years, which was the longest term for an office holder since the end of the war. And yet, with all the suspicions of bribery that surrounded his administration, we were expected to believe that his estate amounted to just $1 million. Most insiders don't buy it. They're convinced he has a fortune hidden somewhere.
Your novel's getting bigger. First it was missing boxcars, then buried treasure.
You don't think Okawa hid those bribes?
In the absence of any hard and fast proof, isn't it premature to judge the man?
That's the problem I'm faced with. It's becoming more difficult to find that proof. The boxcar may be the one undeniable piece of the puzzle, the smoking gun everyone's looking for. But it appears that Okawa may have had a secret group called the I Agency covering his tracks.
The I Agency? Excuse me. It's me. What's the story? Yeah, that's what I figured. I talked to him earlier. He'll take care of it. Just make sure you stay on top of things.
I can continue, if you're still interested.
Please tell me more. Whether it's true or not, it's still a very interesting story. Tell me more about this I Agency you were just talking about.
It was a shadowy organization, very secretive, that was composed mainly of young SDF soldiers who believed in Okawa's ideology. He used them like a private army. And just before Okawa died, the group went underground, completely off the radar, and started exhibiting very strange behavior. They held a series of meetings, and when they were certain they had evaded the DA's surveillance, they made numerous runs, trucking their cargo in small loads through an underground route to Tachikawa Station. It probably would have been faster and easier to load the cargo onto a single truck and make one delivery, but it was also risky. For one thing, it might have caught the attention of the DA's surveillance team and been intercepted. This way was more time-consuming, but it was safer. The team was able to achieve quasi-official status by using the name Aomori 9th Division Headquarters Group. The boxcar in question, the one they loaded up with the multiple truckloads of cargo, was strategically placed in the center of the 32-car freight train. It had 2 guards inside, but otherwise looked quite ordinary.
Well, you've obviously done your homework on this matter, my friend.
Being prepared is important. I was motivated. There is the matter of all that money.
You never mentioned how much you thought the cargo was ultimately worth.
I'm not actually sure, but it must be a fair amount. I mean, after all, no matter what, the bottom line is pretty simple. We're talking about a boxcar loaded full of gold and platinum.
Yes, so you keep saying. But tell me something. How do you make a whole freight car disappear without a trace?
You begin by creating a 30-minute emergency in the middle of the night.
It's hard to believe they'd be able to anticipate exactly where on that route the train would be forced to shut down. We're talking about a distance of more than 450 miles between Tokyo and Aomori.
The freight train in question could have made more than one stop that night. A couple of other trains make regular runs on this stretch of track between Kimojuku and points north, and they have priority. If our freight train was on time, it would have been forced to branch off somewhere between Kimojuku and Hototogisu to allow the daily passenger and freight trains to complete their runs first.
I'll be right with you. Have a seat. What can I get you?
Just tea, please.
Right away.
If our freight train was on time, allowing for the priority passage of the other trains, when the emergency flashes went off, it pulled over here, near Kimojuku Station.
I might have known. So much for the historical investigation. You've come across an unverified story and gradually built it up until it's become a complete work of fiction.
This report is most certainly not a piece of fiction. What other reason could anyone have for stopping in a place like this?
Don't attempt to demean this community with your pseudo-sophisticated mockery! No one can argue the fact that Kimojuku is a hick town compared to Tokyo, but that doesn't mean the people who live here don't deserve a certain amount of respect. Believe me, they've earned it. The mines that supported this town shut down a long time ago, and it's been hard for everyone ever since.
I imagine desperate people will go to any lengths when their lives hang in the balance. The situation must be particularly difficult for the community leaders. How do you inspire people when there's barely enough money for essential services? It's the kind of situation that breeds gangs, but I'm sure the police are on top of it, if they're not in someone's pocket.
It's a delicate situation. We can't put the blame on the Gonzami gang alone. The way things are, that would be like lighting a match in a fireworks factory.
But then again, we can't just stand around and watch while they both slug it out, no matter how much Tanakura wants to control things. Ow, this tooth is killing me. I guess I've been eating too much candy lately. Maybe I should make an appointment to have it pulled out. Leaving a rotten tooth is gonna cause nothing but trouble later. So what do you think, Chief? Shall we interrogate?
So what the hell is your game, mister? What are you after?
As I said right from the beginning, I'm simply conducting an investigation into events that most people know nothing about. Events that have been hidden from them for many years now. There's nothing more to it.
This discussion is over. We have nothing more to say to each other.
What about Genzo Araki? That's the name of the locomotive engineer at the controls of the freight train. As it happened, Mr. Araki lived right here in Kimujuku. The assistant engineer was later found in the Ibukamagawa River. Genzo Araki moved to Sendai with his entire family, and no one has any idea what happened to him after that.
This is unbelievable. You're telling me my aunt still remembers that girl? Geez, it's been more than 10 years since I hung around with Sunai and her two goofy brothers. We were young and stupid, and we got into quite a bit of trouble. But you know what? I was nothing compared to them.
Hi, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Hey, about time, Hisashi. You're 2 drinks behind.
Now that I think about it, I can only come up with one person who turned into an actual Yakuza. If you got any brains, you quit doing that stuff in high school.
By the way, wonder what she's up to these days. She's probably as hot as ever, don't you think? Oh, I should have had her while I had the chance.
Yeah, right. I wonder what she's doing. Probably married some rich guy and is living the good life. Believe me, she was too much woman for you.
Excuse me?
You know, that reminds me. There was this bartender I ran into in Tagaho. I could have sworn it was her younger brother.
Is that very far?
Not really. It's about a 15-minute train ride from here, right?
I remember now. That guy was weird. Every time you and I went over to Sanai's place, her brother kept staring at us.
Yeah, you're right, but that was the older brother.
It was like he was making fun of us all the time.
Oh, yeah. He was cruel, but pretty smart. Got good grades in school. At least, better than us, anyway.
Ah, don't keep bringing that up. Who cares about grades? That don't mean squat. You agree with me, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Tanakura.
I wish you good luck with your search, Mr. Kanahara. I hope you find what you're after.
Thank you.
bourbon.
We only have domestic.
That'll be fine.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, where did George disappear to?
I told you. I have no idea.
But this is important. Come on, kid.
Hey, even if I did know, I wouldn't tell you, so stop stalking him, all right? Huh.
Her name's Sanae from Sendai? I've never heard of her. It's none of my business, mister, but women ain't worth it. You shouldn't chase after them.
You're right. Guess I'm just a hard case. If you ever get fed up with tending bar, you can write an advice column for the newspaper. Thanks a lot.
I can't tell you how sorry I am, sir. We did everything we could to make sure he was protected. I had no idea he was desperate enough to commit suicide.
Tell me you recorded his interrogation.
No, we plan to talk to him today. It's entirely our fault, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand.
He died. He just up and died for no reason. Why did he have to die?
Huh?
Everything's going wrong. Why doesn't George come back? Can't you even tell me how long he's gonna be gone?
Do I look like a psychic? I don't like this any more than you do.
Did I forget to leave a tip? No one says hello anymore. Thanks for the dance, but you guys could use some lessons. By the way, I like to lead. What a friendly little town.